You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
Joining me in studio now is Patrick Hanley, Group General Manager of Amber Springs and Ashdown Park Hotels in Gorey. Patrick, you grew up in the hotel sector. Tell me a bit about your own career to date.
Well, I was born and raised in Kenmare in County Kerry, raised in a family-owned and run hotel in the town of Kenmare. When I was 16 years, I went out and I started working in Sheen Falls Lodge in Kenmare as a young apprentice. And then I went on to study hotel management in Shannon College of Hotels. And from there I worked in Brussels with the Sheraton Group, New York and Arizona with the Four Seasons. I returned into Ireland and I very luckily managed to secure a role with the Park Hotel in Kenmare, working for John and Frances Brennan, who I remained with for 4 years. After that then I went on to Dublin. I got a role in Dublin working for an international property company, and after about 9 months working with them, John Brennan came back to me and asked me would I be interested in getting involved in what was known as D4 Hotels. I was introduced to the Redmonds in Gorey, and I was offered the job of General Manager in the Amber Springs.
Before we get into the detail regarding those two hotels, I just want to have a brief chat to you about the sector itself. The hotel sector, how's it doing out there today in general?
Well, thankfully things have started to improve. I think generally speaking there is a positivity about things in Ireland, generally speaking, and for hotels things are looking a lot brighter than maybe they have over the last few years. We've had a good 2012. 2013 is looking very bright, and beyond that, forward bookings looking very healthy. So hopefully things are starting to recover quite nicely.
You mentioned earlier that you spent 4 years working with John and Frances Brennan in Kenmare. How was that experience for you, and what did you learn from it?
Well, I guess working for the Brennans, it was a bit. It was a bit like getting an education again in the 5-star industry. John and Frances are hoteliers to the core. They understand how guests need to be looked after, and the guest is the focus of the entire business. They had to reinvent their business in the mid part of the 2000s, where they developed a spa, which would have been quite contrary to their normal traditional business, but they managed to integrate this new modern facility, retain their old business, and also introduce an entire new marketplace to the hotel. Working for them was exciting because we were leading the way in the world in terms of service standards. We were frequently awarded with international awards for our service, and I suppose they put the guest at the heart of the business, and that was the thing that I'm trying to do from then on.
And from a management perspective, was your management style influenced by the Brennans?
John and Frances managed from the hotel, from their head and from their heart, and I was lucky in that I was born and raised in a hotel, and I understood maybe how they operated. So the way they operated was they were very passionate about their business, and they expressed that to all of their staff and to all of their clients, and that was one of the main things I took from that, was to try and I do love my job, and I do love taking care of customers, and I try and express that to my staff and to my customers whenever I'm around them, so that they know that they are being cared for. It really was an operation where you had about 8 or 9 core staff who had been with them for 20 years, and the hotel, in terms of management style and all of that, it ran itself in many ways, because of the people they had put around them. It wouldn't have been very tiered or anything like that.
I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on customer service throughout the industry across Ireland.
Well, lots is made about the Céad Míle Fáilte and the welcome that you need to get when you come to Ireland. But I suppose, regardless of where you're in, whether you're in Ireland or whether you're in any other part of the world, when we bring people into a hotel, we want to look after them and make sure that they have an enjoyable experience. That certainly was eroded in the last 10 years, and I think it's on the way back now. I think people have got back to core values, not just in our industry but across the board. You see it a lot in business to business scenarios where people may trade in a bartering system, and they've got back to trying to help each other out, and that helpful approach is more visible now.
Okay, I know that Tommy and Paddy Redmond own both hotels, both the Ashdown Park and the Amber Springs. The Ashdown Park was opened back in 1999. Some people would be surprised by the fact that they went on and opened a second hotel, the Amber Springs Hotel, in 2006. What brought that about?
Well, I suppose the Ashdown Park answered an awful lot of questions in terms of the marketplace in 1999 and 2000, but over the next few years, as the economy really started to ratchet up, it wasn't able to provide some of the services that were being required of it by the corporate client, and the site wasn't really large enough to maybe develop it. The Amber Springs project came about, and when they built the Amber Springs, it tried to answer all of the questions that the Ashdown Park couldn't. So the Ashdown Park would maintain maybe to be more traditional hotel, and it was a locally based hotel, whereas the Amber Springs catered for a corporate client and more Dublin market and less of a local market.
Now, in relation to the growth spurts behind those businesses, how did that come about?
Initially, the Amber Springs took on a more proactive approach to the wedding business, and we grew the wedding business quite rapidly. And then we also went into a new form of business for the hotel, which was the family market, and we developed a product for the family market, which has become quite successful. And we would have a strong Dublin base, but we also have a lot of people coming to us from the north of Ireland, Cavan, Monaghan especially, actually. Cork and Galway would be big markets for us too. So we've managed to diversify out from maybe a traditional North Wexford area, which would have been Dublin, to nationwide, and that's really helped the hotel to have a year-long business, and revenues have grown, and it's been a very successful time.
So there were the two strategies: develop the wedding aspect of the business, and secondly, focus on the family market. But what did you do within the confines of the hotel to make that happen?
We had a slightly different approach to our client, maybe when it came to the client. I wasn't entirely happy that we were being as receptive as we should have been, and I engaged with the members of my team, and we re-examined our approach, and we totally changed how we dealt with the client, and we put ourselves totally at our client's disposal, and we made it very easy for people to deal with us, because we would be willing to deal with them in any way that they needed to make their day come true, or to make sure that their family had a really good stay. Physically within the building, then we did add some facilities. We added a nice play park at the back of the hotel, which includes go-karting, it includes a pet farm, it includes a crazy golf course, and then beyond that we have a large field where we have a train which goes around the field and comes into a fairy park of fairy houses, in which we do themed events throughout the year. And now we have also added a large dome where you can host events, host parties, children's parties, themed parties for the various times of the year. This New Year's Eve we're going to have a very large bash there with fireworks. It's a fabulous facility. One of the new wedding packages which I'm going to be offering is a festival package. So the dome is quite similar to the domes that you would see at Electric Picnic or any of these type of festivals, and we will be offering a very relaxed wedding package where people would have a barbecue style wedding in a festival setting, and it would be a bit more bohemian than your traditional wedding, but it's offering something new to the marketplace as well.
Patrick, before the break you were telling us about the ways in which you increase business at the hotel. What channels did you use to communicate this information and attract new clients?
Well, we were very lucky in that we've developed a huge repeat business, and word of mouth has been extremely successful for us. We do advertise in the Dublin area, but we did a large campaign with the Daily Deals businesses where we stretched our presence into the Cork and Galway areas. When they came and stayed with us, they had a fantastic experience, and they returned and spread word of mouth then in their areas, and we've seen huge growths in those parts of the country for our business.
Lots of hotel owners tell me that they're totally against these daily deal sites because it's setting a new low on prices within the sector. Would you concur with that?
Well, prices couldn't get much lower than they've been in the last few years, and particularly in this part of the country. We try and get out to as wide a marketplace as possible using the reach of these companies. We've only done it a couple of times, and we probably won't be doing it much more than maybe next winter. But what it's allowed us to do is get to the people that don't know about us and didn't know about us, because I suppose the hotel was built in 2006, and as soon as it opens the doors, the country started to go into free fall. So it didn't have the benefit of 2001, 2, 3 and being able to develop its name. People stopped travelling, in 2007, 2008. So using these deals, we've been able to get to a new marketplace, and they've returned to us and enjoyed their experiences at a proper price in the summertime and in the high season. And they're very more than willing to do that. And only last week I had a man, he came and stayed with us for the very first time, and he was so pleased with his stay. He booked a week in June this year, and he then also booked a large family booking for New Year's Eve. So I suppose if you deliver an enjoyable experience to your customers, they will return, and we have a seasonality based pricing. So if they have a good experience in the wintertime, they'll definitely return in the summertime and pay the prices that maybe you'd prefer them to be paying at that time of the year.
So your approach to these daily deal sites is that you're looking at the long-term value of the client as opposed to the transactional value?
Well, yeah, I mean, we look at the bigger picture. We have to be realistic about how you generate business in January in parts of North Wexford. And, if people are attracted by a good offer into a hotel with a good reputation, they will return. So it's about new markets and new clients, and that's the way we look at it.
While on the topic of online, what are your thoughts on Tripadvisor?
Tripadvisor is a fantastic way of letting people know how well your hotel is viewed in terms of your clients that use it. It has over 50 million hits a month. It is a massive website, and it is a significant influencer on people's decision making. So, we encourage people to go on and leave a review of their stay. And currently speaking, we're ranked number 1 in our area, and we're well held through Tripadvisor, so it's quite good.
Do you think that Tripadvisor has had an impact in relation to client expectations for hotels across the country?
No, I think if people take the medium viewpoint on Tripadvisor, and sometimes there's extremes both on the negative and on the positive. I think at the start there was a lot of guys who would have perhaps used Tripadvisor in a very underhanded way, and that wasn't a good idea. Most people don't do that anymore, and it's people just go on and get the reviews from the clients. But I think people understand that nothing is ever as good as the most raving comments it'll ever get, and nothing is ever as bad as the worst comments it'll ever get. But as long as a place is consistently getting good comments, then you can expect a good experience.
Patrick, something that has made the headlines over the last number of weeks has been the Horsemeat controversy. Has that had any negative impact on the hotel sector?
I think it's had a negative impact on the food sector and on the hospitality sector, generally speaking, because the most important element of any business is the trust that people place in your business and the trust people place in the providers. From our perspective, we are fortunate that we provide all of our own meat, all of our own beef product into the hotel from our own farm in Cranford, and all of the meat is managed by ourselves and dry aged on site. So we're very, very fortunate, but not everyone has that facility. I suppose we're dealing with over 300 head of heifer, all under the age of 30 months, and we have truly got farm to fork, and we're able to stand over our products all the way through. We also have our own garden where we grow all of our own vegetables, but trust is vital, and I suppose you were talking earlier about the daily deals. People come to us and they spend they get the daily deals where they don't have to spend a huge price for a 2-night stay in January, and they trust us to deliver a really good service, and they come back in July and August to us. And I suppose it's reflected as well in the wedding business, where we managed to bring the wedding business from very low numbers to 3 figures in a year, and that is down to the fact that weddings make weddings, and that wouldn't have happened if people didn't have good experiences at our hotel. So one of the things that we try to do is we try to deal with people that are trustworthy as well. For instance, Pat O'Neill in Ferns, he supplies all of our bacon products, and Burke's and Arklow supply our egg products. We go to further afield for our duck and our chicken products up to Emmyvale. But
how difficult is it to compete against NAMA hotels in the market?
NAMA hotels are being run with a very straightforward policy, and it is really to make them saleable and keep the doors open. There is no focus on customer or on service. Our hotel is a real business which pays real bills and pays has the normal day-to-day expectations of a proper business. So we treat the customer as the most important aspect of our business, and they then in turn reward us by coming in the door and giving us their business. And from our point of view, we don't really think about other hotels as such. We just try and make sure that the customer is looked after as best as possible.
I know that you're recently involved in setting up an initiative called Love Gorey. Tell me some more information about that, please.
Well, Love Gorey is an initiative that's being run by local business people in the town of Gorey. Some seriously well-established people in Gorey town have got behind this initiative in order to try and promote the area, not just Gorey, but the local towns as well. So you have Courtown and you have Ferns, and you have all of the facilities and all of the businesses that exist in these areas. And it's an initiative to try and promote the north part of the county to the rest of the country, to see that you can come into Gorey and you can go shopping on the streets of Gorey and go in and out of some of the most amazing boutiques, and then stop off and have some very nice handmade cakes and some lovely little quirky cafes. Last week I was talking to a woman from Clare who was coming over with 4 of her friends specifically to go shopping in Gorey, and you hear that all the time. Gorey is a thriving business town, an amazing town, and it just needs to talk about itself a little bit more, and maybe that's what Love Gorey is all about.
Well, Patrick, it's been a very insightful interview. Many thanks for coming in this morning, and I wish you continued success.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.